All right. We're working on the closed flam. And the closed flam, when it begins to alternate, as we discussed the last lesson, one utilizes one of the Spivak 7 basic strokes. It means we're utilizing the single stroke. If we're not playing it hand to hand, we're also using the appoggiatura, which is another one of the 7 basic strokes, and as well we're using a downstroke, right, or a throw, as Richard Wilson would call it. So that means that we have to have our house in order. You know, we have to be able to make a downstroke. We have to know how to make a small appoggiatura. We have to recognize when we go both ways that really each hand is just making an up to a down. Murray thought that that was so important that he called it the single stroke. Okay, so go ahead and just without a metronome, let's take a look at what's happening here. Let's see. So we've got the downstroke. You see what's starting to happen as you speed up is the stick starts, you're not honoring the floor, which is that's Martinez. We have to pay homage to the floor. Now at a slower tempo, you're doing a good job of stopping down at the floor. Now, the other thing I want to think about is this idea of making our upstroke turning from the floor, from parallel, half an inch beat to butt end, right? We're just turning to the floor. You get a note, and then we follow that up, and we make our throw, which also stops at the floor. We turn from the tape. It's all happening around. It's all happening around this, right? And what you start to get is you start to get this feeling. This feeling of there. Okay, and I also don't think you're truly leading from your wrist on your throws, although it's pretty darn good, right? We're early on in your studies, and you're capturing much of what's necessary, you know, with regards to playing this technique correctly. Remember, when you come up like this, Patrick, where do you feel the stick in your hand?
Where do I feel it? Or is it's I feel it in my finger and on the right here in the pad.
Right. A lot. One of the hallmarks of this technique is this idea of the fulcrum being in the middle finger, for all intents and purposes. And there's a reason that's really important, because without that fulcrum, you're playing some other technique, right? Richard Wilson would talk about the fact that if you go from palm down, the fulcrum is in the middle finger, the first knuckle of the middle finger. Go ahead and take your other fingers off and just hold it there. Do you feel that? That's where we want to feel the fulcrum. Now go ahead and build your grip, but put your grip back together. Okay. Now, if as Wilson would say, if we play half turned over, go to half turned over. That's palm down. See, palm down is that position where you don't see the corner of your thumbnail, right? But we don't want to be overly in a German position, because feel it. Just go rotate to a really exaggerated German grip, palm down. It starts to feel uncomfortable. It's a little uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can only turn. You can only rotate so far. You can just feel the tension. So what we're looking for is this classic practice pad position, because when we play drum set, you're going to be in different positions a lot. But for the study of snare drum technique on a practice pad, Dick would have you in the classic palm down position. So we don't want to be overly rotated, but there is a distinction between, you see, your right is a little bit more flat than your left. You want to decide. Yeah, right in there. Yeah. Now, if you were to rotate into half turned over, go to half turned over. No, half turned over is this now. Half turned over is going in the direction of French. The thumbnail starts to rotate so that it's facing the ceiling, or to the corner of your room, perhaps, where the wall meets the ceiling. Yeah, like that. Now go back to palm down. See, I'm going to tell you this because it's working. Maybe I shouldn't even mention it. But you notice your arms are relaxed enough that when you went from palm down to half turned over, do you feel how that affects the arms ever so slightly? Watch. Go to French. French is the thumb all the way up. Yeah, so your arm moves away from your body, doesn't it? Now rotate into palm down, into German. See what my arm does? What? Look.
Yeah. Comes out.
It's reacting. It's that reactive. The wrist actually can motivate the motion of the arm. Okay. Now, when we're in palm down, we really want to feel it in that middle finger. And so when I asked you, where do you feel it in your hand when you go to make your up? In this case, an up motion, just spend a minute here. Just go up. Go ahead and take your other fingers off, except for that's where I want you to feel it. It should be hanging in that middle finger. That doesn't mean that we don't have a grip. We don't have the flat of the thumb and the crack of the first knuckle of the first finger. Fourth and fifth don't have much to do with it, but I feel it here. It's like there is a sweet spot. It's like you're creating a sweet spot. You can never lose that. So if you can focus on that feeling, on that fulcrum location, recognize that it seems to move straight up and down too, doing this. And see, that sweet spot is a big deal. That's your fulcrum. So maintain that feeling. Go on up and think about that. Do you feel it in that middle finger? You don't have to let go up front. That's a big mistake. There, you see, and it just stops down. Now make an upstroke and do that. Now you're going to feel, again, you're going to feel your wrist turn. And again, I can feel that fulcrum location. We're not using the fulcrum to rebound, right? We're not rebounding with the fulcrum. But I know where that fulcrum is. It's really important, even though we're not using rebounds right now, so that we're not utilizing the fulcrum in the hand for the stick to rock over in that way. That middle finger is a really big deal. Okay, so just in the right, go on up and concentrate on that middle finger. Go ahead and make a note. Play a single stroke. No, a single stroke is just turning from parallel, tapping, follow it up, and make a throw. Be careful that what you don't do is not truly lead with your wrist and catch the tip of the bead on the way up. If we really did just show me the first part of the up. No. The first part of the up really is just this. There you go. See, now you're starting it with an actual little turn. It's tiny, look. Tiny. No, doesn't come up that much. Yeah, now you can follow that up. Pay attention to the fulcrum, and then turn to the ceiling for your throw. That's what we're trying to do. Go ahead, put the metronome on at 40, and let's take a look at it relative to a tempo.
All right, what are we doing?
Well, we're going to alternate the closed flam and their quarter notes. Pardon me. Now remember, see what the left certainly is doing is it's not starting with a tiny little bend. In fact, you're turning to the ceiling first. All I want you to do is make a little tiny tap from there. And remember what that little tap feels like. Remind yourself, watch. Remember, you did it in your right, do it in your left. There's a little bend here. And hold that, just less than that. There, see, it's that tiny. No, you have to start right at parallel. You're only going to move a ½ inch. That's it. That little thing. Kevin, the subtlety is everything. Richard will. With that little bend, and when you do that little bend, the contour of the upper part of the hand changes, doesn't it? Watch. See what it looks like? It's gone up a tiny bit, hasn't it? Just a little. There. You don't have to do a big thing. All you have to do is turn. That's it. That little. See, but you change the contour of your wrist. Now, in a sense, maybe you could say you've broken your wrist. Break the wrist, so to speak, in a good way. And then you're going to follow that up. But you have to get that change of contour. You can't just hold this here and think that you're doing it when you're not really letting the weight of the stick in the hand fall, or you turn the wrist so the weight of the stick in the hand move towards the surface. There we go. You follow that tiny little thing up. Now, can you do that while you're playing alternating flams? Right. So that's what we're going to want you to work on this week. You might not necessarily get it here. Mm-hmm. Well, for observation, right? Did your left break? See, if you do this at all, Patrick, if you turn to the ceiling at all, and you hold your arm tight, you're not gonna feel that. But we really want to have the discipline of just turning to the surface from parallel and starting our up motion. It's the beginning of it. It just falls. It's akin to this. Watch. Just do that. Let the stick just fall. Yeah, and use gravity. Just let it fall. See, you have to hold it up here. Now let it fall. Yeah, you see? It doesn't go up very much. And yet, and by the way, it doesn't go up very much. And look how far you've traveled, a lot more than half an inch. So it's the feeling of only letting it fall a tiny bit. Not too much. Okay, so it's something like that. And then you follow that up. So just go and play single strokes in one hand for me in your left. Maybe that's a cool way. Just in your left. Your left just felt, no, you got to make that little bend first. Now, how could I just put this? I don't want to spend too much time. What if we did this? Watch. What if we did this? Click, click, throw. So the first click is going to be that tiny bend. Then you're going to follow it up. We're breaking it down into 3 parts. So it's not going to be as fluid as it really would be. So it's going to be click, there, click, no. The next click is the other part. See, this is kind of cool. I just made this up.
Okay.
And what you got the first part, and then it just turned into, but we have 3 clicks to contend with, 3 separate motions. We have that little bend, then we have the following it up, and then we have the turning to the ceiling for the throw. Try again, try again. Don't lift up first. That's good. Click, click. Wait for the click before you go up. Click, and then click. Click, click. Up. Bead can never come away from the surface, or you're lifting your arm. Click, pronate just a little. There you go, and turn. Turn a little more to the ceiling. Too much of a following it up. Tiny little bend. Now click. Don't overdo it. Bend, just come up a little less there, and then turn to the ceiling. You got to turn to the ceiling at the end. Bend. So it'll look like click. Bend. What am I calling it? Bend or turn. It's all a wrist term. Pronate. Turn. Follow it up. Throw. Turn. Follow it up. See, I don't come up too high. Follow it up, just to there. You don't have to do the gooseneck. Just there. That's all you need. No, and then you don't have to come up anymore. Once you get to there, just to there. Don't overdo it. One more time. Don't come up too high. Now turn. Watch. Follow it up and watch. Turn. Look how high my bead's coming. Follow it up. Turn. There, better. Oh, just let it, no, too much following it up. Just a tiny bend, don't raise first. Don't follow it up so high. No, stop. You can't lift it up. You just have to let it fall for the first one. That's why we're breaking it down. No, you lifted it up. Oh, no. There you go, that's it. Yep. No, don't get to lift it up. No, you came up too much. And then you didn't turn enough to the ceiling. Better turn more to the ceiling at the end. Follow it. Don't too much of a follow-up. Less of a follow-up. There to there. Easy. There. Better. Do it in the right. It's a cool exercise for you. Follow it up. Nice. Don't come up anymore. Once you follow it up and you wait there, just turn. No, you don't have to lift anymore. Just turn. Turn a little higher. Turn a little higher. There it is. Good. Okay, so you're going to work on the hands individually that way. At 40. And then when you feel as though you're starting to develop the proper muscle memory, then you're going to play the stroke. Okay? Just at 40. Right. At that point, the whole thing will become more fluid. Right? It won't be broken up while you're waiting in positions. But that's kind of a neat way to approach teaching someone how to make that motion. You know, to play an upstroke, to play a single stroke. upstroke to a down. Okay, so the next stroke is, on page 8, is the feint and flam. This isn't one of those strokes that is seemingly meant to be played really fast, but it's introducing these motions in a different order, right? Now we're playing strokes, and there's going to be combinations of various 7 basic strokes. So, let's see. And again, everything we've talked about remains, the song remains the same. Nothing has gone away, right? Turn off your metronome, just turn off your metronome for a sec. See, it's a feint and flam, feint and flam, feint, feint, flam. Let's break this down. Take a look at the stroke. Let's not just jump in without being more scholarly about this, okay? So you see that this thing starts left. Interesting that Murray does that. Not that it has to, but, right? And Murray, again, uses, like when we say the word paradiddle, it actually sounds like a paradiddle, right? Mm-hmm. And what you're getting is a ta-tla. See how Murray has indicated that the ta is pianissimo and the tla is loud. See, a pianissimo forte. Tla, ta, tla, feint and flam. Okay, so it's going to sound somewhat, it's going to sound like that. It's going to sound like ta, tla, ta, tla. So you can see, it starts left, and that left is what? Nope.
No.
Well, that left, look, see, this is why we break it down. So you really have an understanding intellectually before you ask your body to perform. Your body needs to have the proper messages sent, okay? So what happens after the first left?
The grace note to the right.
That's right. And then what happens?
The throw.
Okay, so leave out the grace note just for fun, and play the first left, and then the left with an throw with an accent, right? Hey, what does that remind you of?
The single stroke.
We're just working on it. I don't want you, if you can help it, I don't want you turning to the ceiling first. No, you just remember that little, it's just what we just worked on.
Yeah.
No, you only get to bend from parallel. You just drop it, remember? It's that little drop, that little tiny thing that happens. Don't come up with too much of a gooseneck. You're just going to bend forward. Somehow our New York, LA connection stalled for a minute, so I lost track of what we're doing. Right, so what we're doing, that's the general idea. What we're doing with this then is we're recognizing that once again, all we're playing is a single stroke with a little tiny wrist turn. Now the single stroke, we're going to drop it from parallel, right? We're just going to, but in between, we're going to make what is a tiny little appoggiatura. Look, a tiny little wrist turn. And then you drop it, and then you drop it. Okay, go ahead and put your metronome on at 40. It's not bad. Got the idea. See, it's what Murray said. The whole thing is, once you learn and understand these 7 basic strokes, and the libraries put them together in a chronological form so that one leads to the next, it all becomes pretty easy. It's like you've already played this stroke. You haven't, but it's stuff that you already know. Okay, so that's what's going on. Go ahead and play that. Remember where you want to feel the stick. Fulcrum consciousness, and you can remember just to drop the stick from parallel. That little thing we worked on it. That's nice. There you go. Okay, well, what's happening is you're essentially playing it perhaps as quarter notes, or the metronome equals an eighth note, which is fine. No, that's perfect. See, because it's more important that you teach your body what to feel, and then there seems to be kind of an echo chamber where your body will teach your mind what it's like to experience this feeling. There's some kind of holistic thing going on. See, you lost it.
Yeah.
Because you doubled the speed. Yeah. Go back to quarter notes, Patrick. Back to quarter notes. Get that little bend, and then you follow it up. No, you're lifted to the ceiling. Oh, you just lifted this. Didn't get the little bend first. Now you profile. See, it's slower than you thought. You see? There you go. Stop. Here's the other thing that is known. I've heard said, and it becomes obvious. I remember at the beginning of my studies with Murray and Richard, hearing that maybe it was Richard that said it's like you're in, or the buzz around town is like you're in slow motion. You know, I heard that. You can see that you can't just blow through the strokes. Once, and I don't mean because we slowed it down, right? It's because you can play it as slow as you want, but if you go like this, it's not it. It's about not just getting to these earmarked positions, but how do you get to them? You do that little bend, you follow it up, and you throw. See? Every piece has to be in order. And it seems to slow the body down, and you realize that the motions are happening in an even more relaxed way than you thought. It's slower than you think. I don't know what that was.
That was bad.
There you go. See, that's what it is. That's what it is. So just getting those little pieces. So really what we want to do is not rush the Feint and Flam, but go ahead and put it up to 48, and let's see if you can maintain that relaxation, that level of relaxation, that slow motion. Oh, you lift it up. You just have to drop it. You drop it. Don't wrap it up. Don't just jump up. Don't. You just jumped up. No, you didn't drop it. Better. Just a little tiny turn from parallel. Slowly follow it up, then turn to the ceiling. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll practice that. Have you practice that at 40, up to 48, and you know, / 52. Why rush this? Okay. Only to have to go over it again next time we see each other. You know what I mean? If you take your time, you're getting the idea. Okay, right. So it's just putting together the 7 basic strokes. Okay, that's what that is. So now you're playing the Feint and Flam. Okay, slowly moving through the library. Now I also had you take a look at another part of the library, and that's page 7. That's the chronology That's what preceded what we've just worked on.
Mm-hmm.
Murray would have you first look at the up, and first you get, it makes perfect sense, right? He wants you to really, he's really having you experience the single stroke. Here we are again. Now, the single stroke really gives us a certain feeling, but, and this used to confuse me, but if we have to make an upstroke and we can only play from here, what if we're playing louder? Then what do you do? See? Well, we've had the discipline to learn how this works, okay? But we can also be turning and get a similar feeling, okay? Because at some point, we're here and we're traveling through this position, traveling through parallel, and we end up getting this anyway. We end up traveling through parallel. Normally we'd bend from here and get that little, the beginning of an up, right? Now, because we're turning, when we decide we want to go up, we're going to travel through parallel, and we can still get that. We just don't want to blow through it and end up in a weird gooseneck position. And then we really want to turn to the ceiling. Now we could play it. We can play it without making. We can play it that way. And of course, Dick Wilson would have this idea of would refer to it as bouncing the wrist on the upstroke. We're not. I don't want to take us off course here, but we can add force to an upstroke. We actually can. So theoretically, I could turn from parallel and still get more volume, right? I don't necessarily have to turn to the ceiling first. See, I can watch. Just watch for a second. See, I'm turning from parallel. I'm giving it a little force. If I don't give it force, I just get that. If I add muscular force, I start to get that. However, we can also play it this way. We can actually be turning. Now, once I'm really looking for speed, not having to turn up every time becomes very helpful. Okay? Okay, you'll start to feel your way. So what we really want to do, though, is understand that there may be a turn that precedes the up, but once we get into that, once we make contact with the surface, when we've turned, we're looking to get that change of contour in the wrist area, and then we're going to follow it up just like we've been working on. We're not going to just blow through it and get in and end up in a goose. Okay, so go ahead and put the metronome on at 40, our favorite number. Fulcrum, fulcrum, fulcrum. Be aware of the fulcrum. Okay, so let's decide how we're going to play this. Let's see. Play 16th notes. Just go ahead and play 16th notes for me. See how nice and palm down? Notice how German my grip looks. Put it here. Try to match the two hands. You're in more of a half turnover position. Let's stay in the classic palm down position. now we're just going to start to play that stroke. And we're not going to change the notes in between. I mean, what if we wanted to play here? Good.
I'm off time with the metronome here.
Yep. Okay, you're going back and forth between two different approaches.
Okay.
Okay. And when you watch this back, you'll see it. We have, and let's just keep it simple for just a minute, and let's just look at the upstroke as we discussed it earlier. Just turning from parallel. Or it doesn't matter. The point is that we get that little bend, and then we follow it up, and then we turn. Okay, and so you go from, or we could turn first. See, but watch how I don't rush the up. Watch how I get going for the flat of the bead. Watch. So if we were to just turn from parallel, and you didn't get this little part first, and you just went, that's kind of what you start to do. And then in other strokes, other times you go back and forth. You'll actually not rush the up. You'll get the bottom of the bead. You don't watch the difference. Watch the difference. Even if I turn up first, there's this. See, up, down, up. Now watch, up, down, up. Different. That's, you go back and see, this isn't right. It's up. You don't rush it. Up. See, you have to pass through parallel and get that first little bit of change of contour in the wrist. Don't rush it. Don't rush that. Okay, maybe it's a good idea not to turn too high right now. It's good. You've just got a tiny little turn, right? So it feels a little more like really turning from parallel. That's fine. The gig is, I don't want you getting the tip. Let's try it again. That was good. Oh. Notice what? Check it out. It's good. Notice what's happening is that you watch the difference. Let's see if I can do it incorrectly. Got this. Watch the difference. See imagery of it, or this. Look how much more flat it looks. See, Patrick, really concentrated. It goes much faster. I know it's fun to play. I know it's like a Christmas. You just want to. But watch the difference. Just watch it for a sec. Let it just resonate through you. It's not this. It's this. Look how much more flat I look. See how it looks real flat? It doesn't look like this. It's nice and flat. But I'm getting motions. Look. Look. See? Nice and flat. I don't move as much as I need. So I'm looking for pure efficiency. Stay flat. Okay, so now put the metronome on up to, let's see what it looks like at, you're at 40? Just put the metronome on at 52. Our next, now we're in the 50s. Oh, no. It does start with a downstroke, but give me a real downstroke. Just don't go like this. It wasn't a downstroke. Stay flat. There you go. Don't rush. Don't just go yanking, but ending up in a gooseneck. Murray hated that. Murray would sometimes complain about some of Richard Wilson's students going back to him and showing up with a gooseneck. Not going back to him, but maybe going from Richard to Murray. And Dick really wanted you to not cheat. He really wanted you to make a motion. So he'd have you follow it up. How much? That's pretty good. Go the other way. Oh, you've got to start with an authentic throw. That's what you're going to do every time. You see, you want to get the first one established because that's what's going to happen every time. Don't just go yanking it up. Don't just go yanking it up. Stay flat. Little bend, follow it up, and then you turn to the ceiling. Feel that stick in the sweet spot, in your fulcrum. Okay. So if you were to continue, 1, 2, 3, click, 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 click. So now let's play the exercise in 6/8, right? A quarter note. If we're playing click, 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 click. So really, we're maintaining the speed of 16th notes. And we're putting accents on every 3, which means the accents will alternate. Or we can just do this. Or we can do this. And I'm staying nice and flat, okay? Here's the, go ahead and play it. So go see if you can go back and forth. Go ahead and play 16th notes with an accent every 4. And then go to move to playing accents every 3 notes. Okay. Now go ahead and play every 3 notes. You're not as flat as you were. Now go back to every 4 notes. Go to every 4 notes. So you're more flat. Notice you're more flat, Patrick? Oh, okay, so that was, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to adjust this. I want you to just go ahead and play. We're going to play it as written. There was wisdom in Murray's keeping things very simple. And it's too fast because you're not maintaining the flatness. Go ahead and play 6/8 as a dotted, so it's a dotted. No way. So the click, click, click. So the accent will be on every click.
Oh, okay.
And slower. There you go. You got it. You start with an authentic throw. Don't lose the flat of the bead. You're yanking the bead up in the left. Stay there. Don't just go yanking the left up. It's a tiny little break of the wrist, and it's more about turning to the ceiling, you see? There you go. There you go. Come along. All right. Okay, so that's what you're going to look for. That's what you're going to look for, right?
I definitely feel before I was definitely kind of pulling these things up like a marionette too far. And I wasn't getting high enough with my
Good.
throw.
Okay. That's it. That's it. See? It looks very flat, doesn't it? Has that kind of a very flat look about it. The other thing that I noticed that happens is, I told you that there's this idea of, it looks like you're in slow motion, right? But see, for me, it's just, now I'm just playing doubles, but it feels like, it feels like the sticks are playing themselves. It starts to take on that quality. It just keeps rolling and flowing out, and the sticks seem to play themselves. There's that feeling too that starts to happen. When you develop that efficiency, when you're not making any unnecessary motions, and everything is in perfect working order, it does have that kind of quality. It's like slow motion, and they're playing themselves, and you're nice and flat. It's all this stuff, but we want to be careful because these are just words.
Yep.
But you're actually feeling it now. You're thinking it and you're feeling it, so it's becoming real. Okay, I'm going to turn off the.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, man. Good job.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.